Do, 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 do. Welcome to the Friends with Benefits podcast, a business podcast about revenue-generating partnerships, not a podcast about business time with friends. We're your co-hosting couple. I'm Jason.
And I'm Sam. Welcome to the show, friends.
Welcome back, friends. We're super excited to have another episode of Friends with Benefits. I would gather to say that we are officially podcasters now. We've got 3 that we have officially done with a couple more in the book. So congratulations, Sam. We're podcasters, I guess. So
professionals.
Cheers to that. Professional podcasters adding to the LinkedIn this weekend probably. Hot. Today we are coming in hot with a wonderful guest. Someone I am extraordinarily stoked about. So let's get right to it. Today's guest, some of you might guess from the intro, but he's a music producer, an aspiring at-home chef, wine connoisseur, which some of you may not know about, an award-winning B2B marketer, and one of the most partner-friendly marketers I know and have had the chance to work with. And best of all, he's someone I consider a close friend. So please, everyone, welcome to the show, everyone's friend, Mr. Justin Keller.
Hello, everybody. I'm your new friend, apparently. I'm Justin. Hi.
What's up, my man? We are so glad to have you on the show today. It's an honor to have you in our top 5 episodes.
I am honored to. I'm number 4.
3.
I'm number 3.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in the top 3. Yeah, I'm in the top 3. Holy shit! I'm honored as well. Thank you.
The podcast may get shut down after this one, but that's kind of what we would expect, right?
We'll see what I can do. Yeah, let me see if I can help there.
How is life in Indianapolis?
The life in Indianapolis. Well, it is fine. It's finally warm out, and that means everyone's sinuses or allergies are going nuts. But it's fine. Yeah, I mean, it is a small Midwestern town, and so it's pretty much the same every day.
Gotcha.
Pleasantville.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's all black and white until it's not. Keeping it relevant to the theme here. All right. Anyway, before we get too far derailed, let's get right into it. But I do have a couple of questions before we get right into it. One of it is that it's a kind of a little known fact about Justin Keller and how to get Justin Keller's attention. So let's talk about the platypus. You know what I'm talking about.
It is one of nature's most interesting creatures. It's got a bill and a beaver tail, and it's poisonous. It's just got it all.
Beautiful creature. You just don't want to get close to it.
No, which is kind of why it's a thing, right? Like, why Jason's asking is I've got a little Easter egg hidden in my LinkedIn. You don't see the word platypus on LinkedIn, maybe ever, except for on my profile. And the reason is just like that's my what's the opposite of a safe word? I don't know. It's where, like, if you want to get my attention, if you want to get it going, you don't let it stop, then you say, hey, platypus in the subject line, and I will not nuke you from space. I will take a minute to read. And if you give a shit enough to read that far down in my LinkedIn profile and you saw that, then I'm willing to give you that time back as well.
It's a good kickoff to a podcast about relationships. Like, if you actually give a shit, like, do the work to find out who you're reaching out to and who you're kind of cold targeting. And you'll learn real quick about Mr. Keller if you do your work that the password is platypus. So
I may have to change it. So if it's not platypus when you get on my LinkedIn profile. I
mean, only our moms are listening probably on episode number 3. So
exactly.
Your secret's safe for now. But
tell your moms they don't need the password. If your mom's prospecting to me, I'll take the call.
Okay.
Exactly. So in order for you to find out what platypus is, you have to go to Keller's profile, send him a friend request, and you figure out why if you do the actual research to see who Mr. Justin Keller is. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I do have one kickoff question around the podcast, and kind of what we're talking about today here is, so in the context of B2B partners and B2B SaaS and the work that we do, to you, Justin Keller, what does the term friends with benefits mean to you?
So I feel extremely strong about partners in a B2B ecosystem. I think precisely the word, like, right? Like partners are your friends. You're on the road a lot. You see them at conferences. You go to their events. They come to your events. You are working on deals together. You talk to them a lot. There are benefits because it is, I mean, you started a soft YRB, like it is about the relationship. And if you've got a good relationship, that revolving door keeps going and going. And all of a sudden, hey, we were thinking about you for this campaign we're thinking about, or hey, I just met this guy. Do you know this person? They might be worth a conversation with you. And this is true of all, kind of like go-to-market relationships in B2B. But with partners, you're sharing you're not even sharing a microphone, you're getting another microphone, right? All of a sudden, you are able to leverage your partners and tell your story through them as well. Your partners have an audience that you may not have, or you may just have some of. And if you're partners, it's obviously because the product is sympathetic or the audiences are sympathetic or both. And it is, if you're able to tell a good story together, then everyone's happy to share that audience with each other because it helps both of you. And so there's so much this incremental benefit by virtue of being friends with your partners.
100%. 100%.
I couldn't agree more, but I do have to call you out on something. This was not prepped in the show notes for you. I was listening to your podcast, Revenue Talks, and you have great intro. It's a great podcast. Everybody go listen to it. But in the first, you say, we're going to talk to the go-to-market team, sales, CS, marketing.
The partner is conspicuously absent. Is that where you're going?
You kept me waiting.
Just a ghost standing there, just waiting to be called out, hand out, like, yes, we're going to do this, we're not. Let's go home now.
I didn't want to. You guys, I knew you're blazing a trail here, and I didn't want to lead you down the wrong path. This is yours. Like I wasn't gonna, if I started talking to partners, then what's there gonna be left for you guys to do?
We appreciate the charity.
It's a massive oversight, and thank you for the call out. That's a fair criticism, Sam.
So where do you think they sit in the go-to-market motion?
In the middle of all of it, honestly. I think they should. I mean, I think it varies by business, right? Like what companies think of as partnerships or channels varies from category to category, business to business. But for the aforementioned reasons and more that I will happily extol further in this podcast, partnership should be one of those very central parts of a go-to-market organization because they can help benefit your customers. So the CS team would love you. They can help drive new sales and introductions. Hello, sales and marketing friends. They can help subsidize your marketing costs if you guys go in on an event or a campaign or whatever together. So even the finance team is going to be stoked with you. Honestly, if a company feels strongly about the partner ecosystem, it should be part and parcel to the broader go-to-market strategy, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, completely agree. To use a term from my friend Jared Fuller, at what point do you think you were partner pilled? Was it Jazz HR, Sixter? Like, where did you fully buy into, like, partners are the freaking jam and they're the way?
Jazz definitely had a big channel ecosystem. Honestly, my first head of marketing job at a company called Vistage, that was not 100%. A large part of our revenue came from channel partners. So either direct or indirect sales, and then through tech alliances. And so that was where I got the pill, was right out of the gate. And I'm just now, this is kind of a breakthrough moment for me. So thank you guys for sitting me down on your couch. Because I'm just now realizing I thought this was Sixter is where it really turned into magic for me. But honestly, right out of the gate is when partnerships became an important part of me. I remember hopping in an RV with my CEO and a couple other people, driving through the Great Plains of the United States, going to Des Moines, nicest steakhouse, and bringing a bunch of Verizon T-Mobile reps all in the same place and just kind of getting them to drink the Kool-Aid with us. And it worked really well for us. And now I'm realizing how formative that was for me in my marketing career.
So
that's incredible.
Just out of curiosity, when you took over that role, channel and tech partnerships were clearly a big revenue driver, as you mentioned. How involved was marketing from a partner perspective at that point?
Very much, because Again, this was more lucky than good. My CEO was very passionate about branding these events, right? So it wasn't like a hey, I'm just going to get a sales team together and invite a bunch of people to Ruth's Chris. No, it was like a whole event. It was something that we packaged up and took on the road. There was a theme. We made videos. I got a video of us driving through the plains in an RV. Like we made social content out of it. Um, so it was, and honestly, it was made it bigger, right? Like all of a sudden, having that proof that hey, this was a good time with some cool people that are wacky enough to have uniforms they wear in an RV as they're driving from North Dakota to South Dakota seems like something that you might raise an eyebrow. You're going to give them a second thought, like before saying I don't want a free steak. You're like, oh, free steak and you know potentially a good time. That's how most of my me asking girls out went in my 20s.
So, do you remember what the ROI was on that steak for
No,
those prospects?
that was shit. It's probably 10, 15 years ago at this point, so I do not remember, but
A
I think they were
lifetime
positive
ago.
because we kept doing them. Yeah,
Would you say that was your first partner marketing campaign?
absolutely. And it ended up being my first ABM campaign at the same time because we would market to our partners.
Okay.
So we work with our tech partners. We were a little, maybe 50, 75 people company, not super big. Our tech partners were global, like SAP was one, right? And so like getting their hearts and minds is not as easy as just having a delightful conversation or jumping on a podcast with them. So we would do targeted advertising and we would do like persona mapping and we would do all the things that people now know as ABM back towards our partners. So we even had like a partner-led ABM strategy before either of those things existed.
Okay. Okay. Now we're getting into some good stuff. Like you and I have worked partner ABM motions plenty in our
Yeah.
past. How did that early in the days like influence the work you've done in ABM following? So your Terminus days and now Drift days.
I think has been very formative. Wow, this is really like a breakthrough after breakthrough. I'm gonna have to pay you guys for this session.
This is like relationship therapy, man. This isn't a
Yeah.
podcast about partnerships. Come on.
We're not actually recording. This is just for you.
So you talk to an ABM person and they'll say the same stupid thing. It's not stupid. It's just trite and cliche. Right person, right message, right time, right? Which is you could say about pretty much anything in business. What we did differently was we were willing to be a little audacious and get people to take notice. So trying to host a bunch of people from SAP or Concur, it wasn't like, hey, let's come. Like steaks were one thing, but when we were trying to get this very specific group of people, we rented out a restaurant next to their office and we had a bacon and beer party at 5:30 p.m. where, it's not your typical fare for happy hour, but we brought in a shitload of different kinds of bacon and a bunch of different beers. It's like, hey, stop by, have some bacon and beer. And having that kind
Bacon and
of that
beers.
message that was slightly left of center, that's what it takes, right? Like it's not just like, hey, we're Visage, we are a partner, you should meet with us, and super boring stuff. It's like, no, let's actually like be cool humans. Let's have something to talk about and something that's unique and interesting. That was a thing that unlocked it for me. It was like it's not just about having a clear message; it's about having a message that makes people give a shit.
Yeah,
Okay, there's
outstanding.
so much to unpack there. I personally, so as you know, Jason and I both come from creative backgrounds. I come from a marketing background more, so I was really pumped to talk to you. But a lot of things. Be a cool human. That's kind of the basis for
Just wrote that
relationships.
down.
So everybody listening, make that your mantra. I heard a quote the other day from Kevin Kelly. He's the founder of Wired magazine, but he says the major engine of wealth in today's world is to be able to think differently. And I feel like the campaigns I've witnessed you pull off, you embody this, and you just said it right then and there, like things that are left of center, things that grab attention, like that is what your job is as a marketer. So can you talk about like that process is not easy and it takes practice and it takes confidence to like go to market with that. Can you talk about being able to do this consistently in your work?
Ooh, it is. Well, I agree that it takes confidence, and because you're going to have big personalities, namely your CEO, your CMO, or some person with a C in their title, asking, is this a good idea? Is this what our brand stands for? How does this fit into the larger whatever, right? And not that they're bad questions, but I think they're not the right question, right? If you, and this is probably especially true, well, this is true for everybody, but especially if you're down market, if you're in a crowded marketplace, having the balls to do something that is something that no one else is doing is difficult, right? And I think this is especially B2C. I don't think has this problem. They pay agencies millions of dollars a year to have clever ideas. B2B doesn't do that. B2B wants to do what everyone else is doing, right? I want to do what they're doing because clearly it's working for them. And I'm like, hold on, no, they're doing that, so I want to do exactly the opposite of that. If they're doing that, they're already doing it. And this is exactly why I didn't talk to partners on my podcast, is because I want you guys to do it really well.
Well, thank you.
And it's just, I think B2B marketers are reticent to try and take risks because we think our buyers are very stuffy people that are always in, button-down shirts and do not do anything except for work their entire lives. And the reality is everyone is, wants to be a cool human when they close their Zoom window for the day. They want to go and get a cool pair of jeans on the weekend. People are people at the end of the day. And I don't know why there's this wall between, B2B and B2C that says B2B can't be cool as well. And so I think that's it. The practice piece, I don't know if it's practice as much as just like the willingness and then looking like the other direction. Like I said, if someone's doing this, do the other thing. And I think that goes true for where you get your inspiration and ideas too. It's easy to scroll LinkedIn and be like, oh, that smart guy said this. That's what I'm doing now. No, fuck that guy. He's sure smart and I'm sure it's working, but that's not new and original and that's not going to get people's attention. Everyone else on LinkedIn saw that too.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And I got a dad joke that I've used actually in interviews before to what you were saying about being a cool human. When it comes to B2B and B2C, right? Just like in the alphabet, there's a C behind every B. So there's a customer behind every business that's buying. So you can use that in your next marketing campaign if you like, Justin. I know it's good.
What was the joke?
behind every C, there's a B. When I used that in an interview when I was interviewing at PFL, and I remember the CEO at the time looked at me like, "What?
And they gave you the job anyway."
Yeah,
they did. Like I wasn't afraid to say dumb things in interviews. I guess shows I've got no fear. So you just talked a little bit about like B2B not wanting to act like B2C due to the risk factor, right? But you're one, even in your bio, disrupting the B2B marketing space. How much of that risk factor becomes alleviated when you bring partners into the equation and you kind of begin to expand the audience that you can reach?
A lot, because look, other people in our atmosphere agree with us and they're going to offset the cost. So like, what more do you want from me? It's a good idea. Other people like it and it's going to be cheaper now. Like that's kind of the end of the equation for me.
Yeah. So my buddy Will brought up a good question earlier about partner marketing. So say you've got this crazy disruptive idea. Some partners are like, yeah, you're crazy, but I like you. We'll jump in. How do you keep them engaged and motivated, not only through a crazy disruptive idea, but also a marketing campaign in general? Like how you keep your partners engaged and moving through the process with you so you're not having to pull the entire load yourself?
I think that, well, one thing I didn't say on the first part is that a lot of times partners, in my experience, are very eager to jump on the boat because they know that they're going to have that. They don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to come with the idea. They don't want to have to sell it up the ladder. If someone else is doing something and they can just hitch their wagon to it, they get excited about it. And then I think that does start what you're talking about, like keeping them on board, because if it is new and exciting and different, then all of a sudden it's like they get to, have a little bit of fun in their job. And so all of a sudden you start to earn a little outsized attention and effort from the partners. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the day, I mean, we're all pooling our resources for the same thing. Like we're all trying to build pipeline at the same time. And if it works, great. Everyone shares in it. If it goes splat, it was Justin's fault.
So someone's got to take the lead at some point. But at the end of the day, they're getting something out of it as well. So the kind of expectations.
So I do think a lot of the work, like I think that's fair to say, especially if they're helping to pay for it. I typically take the tack of like, look, don't worry, we will do the majority of the work. We may have a couple asks here and there, but this is us, and thank you for helping us bring it to life.
Wow, you hear that out there, people? That's lovely. Most people expect joint effort, joint payment. So just hold that in your back pocket next time. You know, I love the idea of doing things different, being creative and driving those big, bold ideas as a marketer. So two things are at play here. One is when you're joining with a partner, how do you make sure it aligns to both of your brand messages and is driving that forward? That complicates things a little bit. And then how do you get people, this is kind of along the lines of what Jason just asked, but this requires trust, not only on the partner side, but also your internal side. So how do you get buy-in from all of those teams?
I think super tactically when working with partners, I think before, like, hey, we got this crazy idea. I think I'm trying to think of an example, but we've got a crazy idea. It feels like this is germane to or sympathetic to these three partners. Let's go see. And then super tactically, like we roll out the idea and be like, so what do you think? Like, how what story do you want to tell in here? And let's just make it happen. Like, I don't have any ego about it. As long as it doesn't contradict the story I'm trying to tell, the more the merrier. And I think the more storytelling, the better. And then internally, honestly, it's this is maybe a cop out. I've never really had a lot of pushback, and maybe I'm lucky, or maybe I don't know, I'm good. But it has always been like that sounds like something fun. We get to dip into each other's audiences. We get to split the cost. We get to do something that's bigger than any of us on our own. Why wouldn't we want to do that? And so I think that's where you earn a lot of, I think, like I said earlier, if it goes well, it was everyone. If it goes splat, it's my fault. But if it goes really, really well, then everyone's super stoked to have been a part of it, right? You get that agency to have that big idea because all of a sudden, like, you're spreading the risk out a lot, and the payout could be really good. And I think if you're a marketer listening to this and you feel like, gosh, I really wish I could have a big, bold idea and do something crazy, hey, try and build a consortium, like crew up and do it together, spread the risk out, spread the cost out. And, that way I'm willing to get fired for a lot of the ideas I have. A lot of people aren't. You got a few people you can point the finger at that point.
Okay. I love what you said, spread the risk out, spread the cost out. But earlier you also said amplify your audience. And so, that kind of sums up partnerships right there. Who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah.
More impressions for less risk and less money. That's brilliant.
I did just write this down and put a star next to it, but be willing to get fired for your ideas. I think that's incredible. Don't be afraid to take the risk. I do want to put you in the hot seat on one other thing you just said for a second. You've always kind of had success and luck in getting buy-in, for whether the opportunity was just rad, people had buy-in already, or they wanted to work with partners. But let's say you, Justin Keller, you walk into a role and marketing doesn't have the right alignment. They don't have the buy-in to work with partners, to build partner marketing. There's no strategy around co-marketing with partners, no goals around leads, no KPIs that can be generated. Nothing's humming, right? Where do you start? Where do you as a marketer come in and say, I've been down this road before. I've seen this movie. Let me write this script out, and we're going to start here.
We started the conversation off. It's relationships. I was head of marketing at Sixter, and I would say north of 50% of our marketing strategy and pipeline generated had a partner attached to it in one way or another, right? And we didn't have a partner person. I was, for all intents and purposes, our partner person. And that came back to just me shaking hands, meeting people at conferences, finding someone on LinkedIn and be like, you look like you might be the right person. Like, I've got a co-marketing idea. I just wanted to float by you. It's not like a sales pitch. It's kind of like hey, we're talking shop. And if this doesn't go anywhere, at least I've got a new buddy, right?
That's how we met.
This is exactly right. Yeah. Me and Yarby are pals because of, me just trying to find people that wanted to do weird stuff and share an audience and tell stories together. And it's so much more fun too than just being like, it's so isolating to be a marketing. You don't know if your message is going to work or whatever. All of a sudden, if you have a group of, and this is a dirty secret, you'll find people that you're like, yeah, that guy sucks. I don't want to work with that company now. Right. Finding your people, like getting your tribe and then among other companies unlocks a lot of magic. And it gets personal, honestly, at the end of the day, a little bit, but I think, really good marketing is personal and it should work together, and you should be able to, share a drink together and say, that was a great idea, or, hey, buy me another one because my boss is super pissed off now.
And you
really good marketing, really good partnerships are personal. You're exactly right, which is why we're here to talk.
Okay, so on the flip side of this, say that you are a partner manager who A, doesn't really come from a marketing background, but you also don't have buy-in internally from your marketing team. How do you suggest that they come to the marketers, ask the right questions, show the value and get that alignment?
Great question. I'm not sure I know how to answer because I'm like the guy that's like, a partner wants to do something with us? Absolutely. Like, when can they start? Right? Like, I am ready to rock. If I'm a marketer though that is risk averse, that I know how taxed my team is, and I've got a partner manager coming and saying, "Hey, I've got a partner that wants to team up on an event," or "Hey, you guys want to swap some content," or "Hey, can we co-host on a webinar?" I'm gonna be like, "No, man, I got so much of my own stuff to worry about." I think it's selling them on what we've talked about a lot already, that it is going to be cheaper. You're going to get to tap into a potentially net new audience, and it's creating content like lowercase c content, whatever it is so much easier. Like, we're literally just talking here, and there's a lot of interesting, smart things that I think are falling out of it. The same is true for any partner engagement, right? It's just by virtue of having smart people say things, bounce things off the wall, like, it's super generative. And so it's almost like you're getting better, you're getting smarter, you're getting more content out of it for almost free.
100%.
Or how about this as an answer? If a partner manager comes to a marketer and says, "Hey, I've got a partner that wants to do X, Y, and Z," and the marketer's like, "No," that marketer sucks, and you should maybe find a different marketer.
What if the company's not looking? Yeah. What if they're not looking for a different marketer and the marketer still sucks? Like, what do you say to those marketers out there who aren't listening to the partner team?
Guys, it's math, honestly. Like, it's just
1 + 1 = 3. Easy, basic math.
subsidized costs, more audience, better storytelling. Like, where are you not getting the message here, guys?
Why do you think some aren't? There are people out there not getting the message. Like, why?
Lots.
Where do you think the hang up is?
I don't know. Maybe I don't want them to know, because then it makes it life easier for me. If everyone all of a sudden started partnering constantly everywhere, all of a sudden everyone's calendars are going to get bananas, and I'm going to get less bandwidth out of my partners. So I don't know. Maybe it's a well-kept secret on purpose. I have no idea. Honestly, now that you ask that, I'm like, this is kind of like the biggest, dumbest secret in B2B. Why wouldn't more people be doing this? If you're listening to this,
absolutely.
Get in the comments and explain why you wouldn't want to partner. And I guess there may be some industries that are like super insular and don't get partners. Like, partners just doesn't work for the business. But a lot of the ones I've been across makes absolute sense. I have no idea why they wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, me neither. It's always kind of baffled me when I have those conversations and hear from programs that just aren't getting the necessary buy-in, because they're easy layups, right? The softballs.
100%.
In one of your earlier rants, you were talking about storytelling and kind of sparked a question in my mind. Talk to me about how you build effective storytelling with partners. Like, how do you so every partner manager, every partner leader knows about the Better Together story, the JVP, joint value prop, all our little buzzwords. But when it comes down to it, when you do go to market, when you Justin Keller and Tav are the marketers, like, what does it look like, and what should it feel like to tell that story with your partners?
Yeah. I think there's two paths you can go down. One is, if there's an integration story to tell, it's great to start there, right? Like, just that's where the JVP is in that integration, and it is then relevant to your respective customers. They're learning more about your product and your partner's product. If there's not an integration, that doesn't mean you shouldn't partner up. I've done tons of co-marketing things where there's no integration, and what there was that sympathetic story, or two people that I think would be, have great chemistry on a webinar together and are both smart and would, tell something that is compelling to some number of our audience. So what should it feel like? It should be like honestly, it's like, yeah, like, who's the audience? And this is marketing 101, like, know your audience, and then what's the message? And like, that one message should be the unifying thing for both of you. If you can figure out what that one thing is, then there's infinite numbers of vectors to get to that message. And, a quarter of them are probably pretty fun and worthwhile listening to.
When you think about really good partner storytelling, this could be your own experience or one you've seen out there, do you have any examples of what you've seen have been like world class? You're like, damn, I wish I would have thought about that, or something that just kind of pops in your mind around good partner-to-partner storytelling?
I think what Sixth Sense does is really smart. They have got, I mean, they're a very mature business. They've got a very mature partner ecosystem and partner team, and they spread the love around pretty well. But one of the things I really like that they do is they have kind of a featured partner of the month where they roll out the red carpet for their partner. They, put on special programs. They enable their sellers and, customer facing teams. They do a lot of stuff for free because it's the right thing to do for their partners. And, Drift has been part of this and received huge amounts of benefit from it. And it cost no one anything. It was just the bandwidth and the time and attention from their team. And I think that is critical, right? Like, it cost no one anything. It was just the time, effort, and love. And that's all it really takes to make anything successful, I think, especially in partnerships. I do think I've done in the past, and here's an interesting thing. I've done roadshow events, branded roadshows, where it was always Sixter, but then it was a rotating cast of characters, right? It was kind of like, who's Sixter going to show up with at this event? Or they're going to be in San Francisco in May. Who are the partners going to be? We built just a field program that was so strong that partners were just like, yeah, like, we'll throw $1,000 to buy margaritas for people, no problem. Like, let us come. And I think that's another interesting thing for people to think about. Is like, can you start your own owned series program, like your own branded whatever it is, and then make it something that partners can hop on or off as they wish. We're going to keep this train going. You can hop on wherever you want, and it'll be fun. You're going to meet new people. You're going to grow your database. And if you don't want to do it next year, that's cool too. I think those things work really, really well. And I don't think it should be, this sounds like a roadshow. I don't think it should be a roadshow. I think it should be a series of whatevers, right? Anytime your company is somewhere, or any, first Tuesday of the month, your company's doing this thing, and there's going to be a partner attached to it, it sets a good pattern. Like, you're going to, people like to know that this is an ongoing thing, but then you're going to get your partner's attention too. And they're like, hey, next time you do this, can me and my buddy get on here and help be part of it? And it just makes that conversation even easier.
I love that
continuous co-marketing.
Yeah, you mentioned this earlier too, but the ease of that for your partners, like, just show up, bring your wallet.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking for. Buy some drinks and we're good. Yeah,
totally. Absolutely. I did interrupt you about the video game. I think it's important for the listeners and viewers at home to know what we were talking about there, because it's phenomenal. So if you want to give a quick synopsis of what the video game was.
We're selling a product we were selling an idea, right? The product supported that idea that account-based marketing is great and is a more efficient go forward for the revenue-minded marketer. What is ABM is, I think, still a question that, I was on an ABM webinar this week in 2023, and there was a bunch of like, what does, ABM even mean kind of questions. It's just not a saturated idea. And so we made a video game that was like, let's make this fun and super entertaining and informative as well. So we called the game Revenue Smasher. The game was, you're dropped into a world. There are 50 target accounts hidden in this world. You go around, you use different ads, you use different marketing tactics to try and win that customer. When you win a customer, you get more money, you can upgrade your skills, and then it makes it easier for you to win more and more customers. And it was subsidized by a bunch of our partners, and we put their brand. So we had, in this world, billboards with their brand on it. You walk up to the billboard, you click on it, you can learn more about their company. Their CMOs or CEOs or whoever would be characters, like non-playable characters in the game, so you could go talk to them. So you're actually learning about the people of these companies. I think it was incredibly brilliant, and I wonder if it still exists. I need to actually get on Bing and see if it exists still after this.
May or may not check last week, and it was there.
Was it? Okay,
probably would have landed better than that. That's
yeah, exactly.
Yes. CROs want webinars, Justin. Don't you know this?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question, because we've all seen different flavors of this. Partner marketing sometimes exists. Sometimes you get a portion of the overall marketing team. In your opinion, do you think partner marketing should report to marketing or to the partner leader themselves?
I think, well, I got kind of two answers on this, and you can feel free to yell at me. I think that partner marketing should absolutely live in marketing. I also feel like partnerships should live in marketing.
Oh,
I don't know that
hot
I
take.
would yell at you. Yeah. I mean, we talk about this often. I think that partners, if possible, can provide the most value for the company reporting to the CEO.
Yeah.
Because when done right, you should and could have impact over sales, product, marketing, CS. And if you're under marketing, that's where your goals are going to be aligned. If you're under revenue, that's where your goals are going to be aligned. So I think it comes down to the overall strategy of the business, not right or wrong, but just where do you want partnerships to have the most impact?
I think you're right. And I was being a little bit cute. And I think like a lot of partner, like, especially like an indirect sales motion, that should not look at marketing at all. That should be, either part of the C-suite or, up in the sales organization. But I do think for companies that have longer sales cycles, that have complicated products to describe, that have maybe even a little earlier stage, it is rocket fuel for your marketing program to do it. So we don't have partner marketing here at Drift. My head of demand gen, Tav, who you already mentioned, my charts to him this quarter was like, I would like for 75% of everything you do to have a partner attached to it. And he was stoked about it because that makes his job a little easier and it spreads my budget out further. And honestly, like, I feel like, in the era of collabs that we live in currently, where Adidas and Gucci are teaming up and you've got some rapper with some country music singer and people are buying it, the same is true for B2B. Like, why can't you just do cool stuff together? And, for the sake of it being interesting and, showcasing the value of your mutual products or services.
Absolutely. I love that you got into the numbers there. So 75% this quarter. I know the answer to this question. So where did that number start at when you first came into Drift as far as percentage of partner attached to marketing?
I would say I was closer to 10, and I'd say even that 10 was potentially accidental. Like, it was just coincidentally, I was talking to this partner and they wanted to do this, and it was adjacent to this thing we're doing, so we're just going to smush them together. I don't think it was like a coordinated focus, like it was what we were setting out to do. I think we accidentally just backed into it.
Yeah, I agree with that. So accidentally backing in, like, what did that look like to take it from 10 to 40 to 50 to 75% now?
Good question. I think I had the luxury of coming into a company that has a really deep integrations network, right? So we have a lot of baked in partners to begin with. So I didn't have to do a lot of work. I mean, it was honestly just, sending a couple of Slacks saying more of this. So it wasn't tough. I think if you do not have that luxury, that's where you sit down with your product leader and probably your CEO and be like, okay, strategically from a product perspective, where does this improve our product the most, or give us, broaden our TAM or make sales easier, and starting to prioritize downward, right? Like, you can do partnerships without an integration, but it makes selling so much easier if there is that integration, and prioritizing your way down there and basically doing the opposite, like starting with one and starting to grow it out more and more and more. But I think, regardless, I feel like partners should always be in the conversation when you're doing your campaign planning.
Agreed. Yeah, and thankfully, luckily I was a part of that ride with you and got to see kind of how you guys were thinking about it. And you're correct. You send in a couple of Slacks, get it going, sort of thing. And you're one of the few who I know that actually get it. We've done a lot of stuff together. Tav as well. He's got a very strategic process that he implements and drives towards. Outside of that 75% for this quarter, what other KPIs are you guys tracking, metricing against, partner marketing, and what should other programs use as a model as well, do you think?
So we look at pipeline influenced and pipeline sourced. Pipeline sourced is when there was, honestly, a partner account manager, sends a deal across the fence to a salesperson, right? Directly influence that deal. Partner influenced is anytime there's a campaign running and we have clicked the little button in Salesforce that says there was a partner attached to this one. That's something we've gotten really focused on measuring, and it works. Like, it's, anything that gets measured improves, to the point where we're able to start seeing we're beating our numbers in the channel, and that gives me the confidence to go to the CEO and say, look, I want to do more of this, or go to my partners guy and say, hey, I need you to line up 3 of these things next quarter. But honestly, I think that's for most marketers, revenue adjacent marketers, pipelines are the number one metric, and that's what same thing is true of partnerships.
So, not to make things awkward here because you two are working together, but where did you find conflict in that, if at all, between, that often exists between partner managers and marketing and sales of who sourced what and who influenced how, and did you come against this, and are we still working on this? How do you overcome that? Because it's not going to be a one and done.
I'm interested in Yarby's take on this.
There was some internal conflict, yeah. And I've this conflict, I'll bring it up. Like I hear it from many programs. It's like, where does the attribution live? Who gets the credit for it? And how do you decide whether it's marketing's credit or partner team's credit when they live under revenue? Which, to your point, like makes all the reason. Like if we're doing more, if the weight is leaning heavier on the marketing side and we're driving more as a result of doing co-marketing with partners, why wouldn't the program live under marketing? It's a go-to-market function. Who leads go-to-market? Marketing.
Yep.
So, we did have some back and forth and some conversations and some challenge around the attribution. But we eventually came to some good conclusions, and I think you've eventually sought for it. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and that's honestly, when I was being cute, I was being at least half honest that I think partnerships should live in marketing, because then that argument does not become a thing anymore, right? Like partners in marketing are one thing, all that credit goes to marketing, and if we miss our number, then that's the marketer's fault, not the partnership's fault. And there's a lot of fights that have to happen over on the partnership side because they have many masters to please, and none of them are ever happy.
Preach.
Solving for it going forward, though, is it was a little bit of a re-education upwards. So as we're doing our board level reporting, if someone asks what's partner revenue look like, we can say, well, here's the direct stuff, but that's not, that's great. We love that. That's great stuff. We really, really care about attributed pipeline, right? Because it is a lagging indicator that we are being active partners. We're building things that have value to sympathetic audiences. I mean, all the things I've said, and marketers hate attribution, and I'm one of them. But being able to show this much of the pipeline that marketing generated had a partner attached to it, all of a sudden says, okay, the partnership is clearly doing something. Because if you do enough partner campaigns, that pipeline number is going to be substantial. And I think it makes conversations that the partner team has to have a little bit easier.
100%.
Agreed.
Yeah, the more alignment you can build internally. I mean, that is the theme of this podcast. We're coming to be cool humans, build alignment, and be easy to work with. That's kind of the baseline.
Be willing to get fired for your ideas. I'm getting that printed on the wall.
Tattooed forearm.
Yeah.
Okay, where does the name Bear Like Mouse come from?
And what is Bear Like Mouse?
Bear Like Mouse is my nom de plume for my musical projects that, when I'm drinking too much on a Saturday and I sit down my computer and work on. The name itself is, I wish I could change it at this point, but it's just been existing too long. But it was a short story I wrote in college, which is when I kind of started recording music. It was, I didn't use drugs in college, so I have no good excuse for it, but it was about a bear that looked more like a mouse. And shrunk that, playing on a little 4-track cassette recorder, and all of a sudden that's what I named my musical project, and now I'm stuck with it. I've got so many better band name ideas since then, but I just can't,
Sounds like we should just start more bands.
Yeah,
I got names, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, there we go. Let's hear them. We could use some podcast intro music. So if one of those other bands wants to create some music, we're all for it.
I will honestly do that for you for free.
We are putting that out on Spotify and the podcast networks for accountability purposes.
He's taking a note. He's writing it down.
I am.
So for those of you wondering what the hell we're talking about right now, if you go to Spotify or your music listening streaming platform of choice, just type in Bear Like Mouse and you'll get some Justin Keller in your ear. I love it.
Here we go. It's on a post-it note. It gets done.
We got a theme coming. All right, so let's bring this home.
Wait, I want to ask one more question because there's another thing here.
Okay.
At-home chef and wine sommelier. So, what's your last meal?
The last meal I ate?
No,
was
that
a
you
burrito.
want to eat.
Oh.
Like, what,
that that you cooked. That
my
you
death row
spent
meal.
your time.
yeah. Like, what's your favorite thing that you could?
Oh, that
consume?
last meal. Your last
This
meal.
is such a basic answer, but it's going to be a cheeseburger. Like cheeseburger, no tomatoes, pickles, mayo,
Okay,
onions.
but that could go like. Is there a specific cheeseburger? Are you making it?
Oh,
Are we talking?
no, I'm not making it.
Mickey
I cannot
D's?
make a cheese. As much as I cook, I feel like I suck at making cheeseburgers. I would have to
I'll
go.
FaceTime you next time I make one. I'll show you the ways.
He knows what's up.
Thank you. I don't think I got a specific. It's not In-N-Out burger. I will say that, but I think that there's so much hype on In-N-Out that's undeserved. Great question, Sam. It's a cheeseburger, and I will figure out by the time this goes live which one it is. Oh,
right.
there's a restaurant in New York City called Emily that has had my eyes rolled in the back of my head when I had their cheeseburger.
Okay.
Restaurant's
there
Emily.
you have
I
it.
got the cookbook just because I was like, I want to know how to make this cheeseburger. There's nothing scientific. It's just I don't know if they do. I think they just have
Wow.
a ferry back there that they shake on top of the beef.
All right.
I love it. I got it. We got a place like that in Tennessee called Tennessee Beer Works. The burger is one of the best I've ever had. So you just find them in the unusual places.
Let's go.
All right. Yeah, let's do it. All right. We'll bring it home with this. Last question. This one is very much for you. May not ring true for some people in the audience, but I hope it does. Who makes the better partner marketing manager? Bob Odenkirk or David Cross?
Oh my God. Who makes the best part? Okay.
Who are you hiring for your partner marketing person? Bob Odenkirk, star of Better Call Saul, or David Cross, the guy who blew himself in Arrested Development?
I don't know if I could pick one. I think I'd go Bob Odenkirk because I feel like he has slightly more business acumen just because he wears more suits. That's honestly
Yeah.
that's my answer. The guy that wears slightly more suits.
He works in
So
B2B.
Bob's going to bring the strategy to the table, and David's going to bring the content and the risk.
Yeah, exactly.
And, the ideas.
The guy
that
that's
might get
not
him
that's
fired.
willing to get fired for his exactly. That's David. David Cross is the guy that's willing to get fired for his ideas. Bob
Yeah.
Odenkirk's the one that's going to make them happen.
So you're hiring Bob.
Yep. Bob. Final
All right.
answer.
You heard it here first. Better Call Saul is Justin Keller's go-to partner marketing person. Justin, it's been super fun, man. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today, for spending your time. You're a dear friend to the ERB household, and we cannot thank you enough for joining us today.
No, thank you guys so much. This was fun. Appreciate you
Awesome.
guys.
All right, friends. Talk to y'all
Next
soon.
time.